Uh, I'm actually drawing a blank. I'll get it. I'll get to you in a second because we traveled so much last summer. We went to so many parks. Um, Man, why am I drawing a blank on that? It'll come to
Well,
me.
while you're drawing a blank, we're going to get started. I apologize to everybody. We have Dr. Lori who is trying to get on. She was having a little bit of trouble. But she's going to keep trying away. And unfortunately, I'm here by myself tonight. The beautiful Tawana is not able to join us, but we are all here. And we have a 7 o'clock meeting as well with regards to the Buying Businesses Mastermind. So if you are a part of that, you should have received the links a couple of times. If you have not seen it, check spam. I just literally resent it to everybody 2 minutes ago. So I'm exaggerating. It's probably been about 10 minutes now. So definitely check your email with regards to that if you're part of that mastermind. But hello, welcome to the 10K Project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. So if you want to build wealth and work within the Black community, you are in the right place. I'm Cherie. My co-founder is Tawana. Unfortunately, she is not here this evening. But we come every week and we talk about, Dr. Lori did get in, good. Um, we talk about building Black wealth from various perspectives. And tonight's perspective is all about medical representation. And first of all, you may be asking yourself, well, Cherie, what does this have to do with wealth? Right? Like we usually talk about money, cold hard cash. Well, number one, and I put this in the blog that I sent to everybody earlier, if we don't have our health, then that impedes our ability to get wealth. And I'll give you a couple of great examples. Number one is if you've ever been sluggish, then that has like slowed down your productivity immensely. But also if you have chronic illnesses and things like that, then you're oftentimes paying copays and having to run back and forth to the doctor. That takes away from your money as well. The second is, y'all know I have been pounding the drums about different types of careers that you can get into. And I was watching this really interesting video of this gentleman who started medical school at 48 years old. And his point was, no, I'm sorry, he was 48. He was a nurse for many years and he decided to go because he had always wanted to be an MD. And he wasn't even the oldest guy in the class. And he said, I was going to be 54 anyway. I might as well be 54 and be doing the work that I feel like I should be doing. So with that, it just so happens that everyone on here is in some form of dentistry. I didn't plan it that way, but that is how it ended up working out. So everybody put your city and state in the chat and a huge exclamation point for the doctors. Y'all know they have that TV show, but we got the real show here tonight for everybody. So we've got DC in the house. We've got people saying hello from everywhere. People telling me I'm muted. LA in the house with 85 degrees. Well, it's cold here. So we got Arizona, Texas, etc. So we want to say hello to everybody tonight. So doctors, how are you? How are all of you doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Y'all are doing well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't I take each one of you at a time and have you just tell us like really quickly a little bit about yourself and what got you into the medical field. So D'Antonio, I think you started this actually. So why don't you officially start? Yeah, you did because you suggested Dr. Layla to me. That was how this ball got started. So D'Antonio, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, so good night, everybody. My name is D'Antonio Worrell, Dr. D'Antonio Worrell. I am an endodontist, a board certified endodontist, and an endodontist is a dentist that specializes specifically in root canal therapy. So I'm the dentist that everybody loves to hate. People don't like dentists in general, but the extra don't like me. I remember the name of this picture is from Yellowstone National Park. My journey in dentistry, I'll try to be real brief. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but I grew up in Barbados, so you'll hear an accent. But dental school, I went to undergrad at State University of New York at Stony Brook. And there, I did a little dental externship at the dental school there and found that that's something that was really interested in me. Prior to that, I had braces when I was younger. And I just remember how happy the office was. The orthodontist was happy, his assistants were happy, the patients were happy, and it kind of really drew me in. And then I also noticed his lifestyle, and he was doing pretty well for himself. And so that sparked the initial interest. And then through undergrad, I pursued that. And then so I went to the University of Maryland Dental School and graduated from there. And while in undergrad and even before that, while in high school, I was in Cub Scouts and in ROTC, and I always had an interest in the military. So then I pursued being a dentist in the military, which is what I currently do in the United States Army. I'm a lieutenant colonel promotable, meaning that I'll promote to colonel next year. And I've had a career, and I've enjoyed it because it's helped me to blend both things that I like: soldiering, leading soldiers, doing crazy stuff like jumping out of planes and helicopters, etc. But also doing dentistry as well. So this, in brief, that's a little introduction to myself.
Fantastic. Dr. Layla?
Earlier, I'm the one in Arizona, so this is about 4 o'clock here, and you might hear some noise because I just finished up patients and they're finishing up. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm here because of Dr. Worrell. He is one of my mentors for the movement. I am a pediatric dentist, board certified, but I'm also the founder of Diversity and Dentistry Mentorship. So, Cherie, you nailed it on the head when you talk about kind of exposing all the other careers and health professions.
Sorry, people are saying it's really, really hard to hear you, and I agree. I don't know if there's a way for you to be closer.
Yeah, is that a little bit better?
It's a little bit better. Yeah, definitely whatever that equipment is in the background.
Okay. But it does hit. Okay.
Yeah, it's still going in the background.
Well, how about I try to fix the light situation and then maybe come back to me?
Yeah, we'll connect with one of the other doctors and then come back to you. So, Dr. Lori, welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we were frantically trying to get you in here. So glad we got you in here.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Yes, you do.
Okay.
You made it.
I made it. I'm so glad to be here tonight. Of course, I know Dr. Worrell, and say hello to your wife for me. But I'm HBCU made. So I went to undergrad at Florida A&M, FAMU, go Rattlers. And then I went to Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. So I am a Meharry. And then I actually went, after dental school, I went back to school like 2 times. I received my master's of public health, MPH at Eastern Virginia Medical School. And then I also went to forensic dentistry. So I'm also a forensic dentist on the side. I see dead people, right?
Oh, I was going to say that. You deal with the dead?
Yes, I do. And that's my side gig. But right now I am president of the Old Dominion Dental Society, which is the largest and oldest African-American dental society in the state of Virginia. And I am dental director of HIV positive dental clinic. So I stay clinical as well. So I do see patients every day. And one thing I can say about this profession, and we're going to talk about it more once we get started, was there is a need for people of color. And I'm going to just go ahead and say it, Black people. There's a need for Black professionals in dentistry because of the patients that we see. And you need to be an advocate for your people. And that's why there's such a need for us to be in this profession. So we can talk about that, but that's a little bit about me. I'm definitely an advocate for more Black people to be in dentistry.
I agree. I think that, and I'm going to bring up some stats once Dr. Max introduces himself, but there's not only a need just psychologically for us, but statistically for us as well. So I don't know how much Dr. Max wants to say about himself. I will say that he is a client of mine, and I roped him in to coming tonight because he is a fabulous doctor as well. He is a dentist, and he also has a military background. So you will see that laced throughout tonight's conversation. But Dr. Max, and don't forget to unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah. My name is Dr. Maxwell, Clyde Maxwell, from New Jersey, born and raised. Been practicing, well, not really chairside anymore, but 53. So my sons they remind me, hey, Pop, getting old, Pop. You know, I have sons that are 20, 26 and 20, 24, something like that. And I was in the military, you know, right out of dental school.
Can you move a little closer to your audio, Dr. Max?
30 years. I'm sorry?
I asked you to move a little closer to your audio.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it was just a little low. Go ahead.
How about now? Can you hear me okay
that's
now?
Better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Yeah, so it's about 29 years. It'll be 30 this May coming up, since coming out of school in '92. Military actually was a great experience. You mentioned the military. I was a recipient of the scholarship program where they paid for part of school. So I wasn't intending on going in until I was running out of money. I was like, hey, listen, the recruiter came and I was like, hey, can you help a brother out here, you know? And actually it was the best decision though, because I loved it. I didn't want to make it a career, but I loved it. The start I had, it's wonderful. So I did 3 years in military active duty, and one of them was a residency year. And then I transitioned out and was in private practice and working different places, building up. I started to have a love of business. So, you know, I just really got into the dynamics of, you know, practice development, people development, and those kind of things. So, went to Delaware. I practiced in the tri-state area, Philly, Jersey, and Delaware, but primarily Jersey and Delaware. And that's where I ended up finishing my, well, actually, I not totally finished, but I ended up transitioning. So people say, are you retired? I said, no, I'm rewired, not retired, rewired. So yeah, so I transitioned when I got approached by like a DSO, and you know, they loved what I was doing in pedo. I spent the last 12 to 15 years pedo. I love kids. I loved it, and I didn't realize I had a love for them until like it was like halfway through. Like I was like, you know, I was doing dentistry for 15 years, and I was like, I was doing a lot of different things, you know, implants, surgeries, and stuff like that. But but nothing compared to like kids. So I would say I'm like a pediatric dentist trapped in a GP body. You know what I mean? I just love kids. But having said that, I was able to just transition and develop an orthopedic practice in Delaware. So it was you know, a DSO came and offered me an opportunity to transition. So I did try my hand at corporate dentistry, if you will. Then they decided to, you know, we had 19 offices, and they grew up to like 300. And, you know, the corporate dentistry is different. Let's put it that way. It's definitely different. You know, so I ended up just transitioning from that opportunity. They wanted me to leave the pedo division, but I transitioned out that to start my own initiative with a group of African American providers of the integrated system, IDN, integrated delivery network. And so we're all, excuse me, that's my dog. Hey, Marley, Bob Marley, call him Bob Marley. He's making all these noises. Sorry about that.
I love me
But
some Bob Marley, so.
yeah, so just just fast forwarding that's where we are now. That's how I met Cherie, because we're actually building medical dental practices, integrated practice. So we have it's a 50,000 square foot model. So we have pediatric dentistry, general dentistry, primary care, radiology, imaging centers. We've got 2 radiologists, 2 partners, physical therapy, wound healing, women's health, men's health. We have childcare and a bistro. So we're really focused on nutrition, health is wealth, like you mentioned before, and the functional medicine perspective instead of the sick care model, preventive medicine, proactive care, but totally integrated, patient-centric. So that's what we're building, targeting our inner cities, primarily the under-researched communities throughout the country, hardest hit, disproportionately affected, the whole nine. We all know this, but it's something that near dear to all of our hearts that connected with this group. And so now we are, this is what we do. So that was my rewire. When people thought I was just, hanging up the drill, it wasn't that. It was just really just refocusing. I can't go without mentioning my rock, who really was my biggest supporter, and now she's with the Lord. I lost her last year. It was for her. I mean, she helped me with my first practice, to everything in getting there. I mean, mom, you can't say enough about mom, right? And
Yeah.
she was lighting my life stuff. But yeah, so she was the one who just really spurned this whole desire for me, that rewiring, not just hang it up, but really to just refocus and use the skill set for that. So yeah, so that's what we're excited about. And I thought, Cherie, she's doing a fantastic job for us, getting this thing together. So, but yeah, that's a nutshell for where I am right now. But
One of the things, if people are familiar, put a 1 in the chat, everybody, if you're familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson. I know he's controversial, so let's put that on the side. But if you're familiar with Dr. Umar, put a 1 in the chat. Good, so I'm starting to see the ones coming through. Dr. Umar always talks about the fact that Black people need to have our own banks and our own grocery stores and our own hospitals for us to move towards self-sufficiency. Since Dr. Max opened it up, what he's doing, he said 50,000 square feet medical, wellness centers in our communities with our doctors as practitioners. This is like, when people say, I don't see what's happening in the community. I mean, we really need to thank and uplift, guys like Dr. Max. So since he talked about it here, I didn't know how much he wanted to mention, but since he threw that out there, that's what he's working on, just keep an eye on Dr. Max and what he's doing, because he is very much, he cares. He cares about our health, and he also understands the business side as well. And I think that, you need both of those in order to be successful in the medical community. So Dr. Layla, did we get you back?
I hope this is better. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, infinitely better. Yes.
Yeah, I think I had 2 Zooms open when I was in the audience and then came into the panel.
Okay.
I apologize.
Right.
Well, I'll make
Okay.
it brief because I know we want to get to the nit and gritty of our conversation.
Yes.
But no, I'm grateful to be here through D'Antonio Worrell, who is one of my mentors for the movement through diversity and dentistry mentorships. And Cherie, you nailed it. I founded this nonprofit because I really wanted to share the message of hope and exposure to these young kids about different careers in the health profession besides just medicine or nursing. That dentistry is a great career, and we just need to get these kids exposed to it and get them set up with mentors so they can learn what path they need to take to be successful. And then we will increase the applicant pool and hopefully increase diversity in dentistry. But I just found out that this year I am a board certified pediatric dentist here in Tucson, mother of 3. So life is busy, but my heart is tied to the kids. And this is why I really feel mentoring is at the heart of diversity to really increase it. So I'd love to talk to you about it more later.
Great, great. And I failed to remind everybody, this is a session for your kids. Definitely, make sure that they are a part of this Zoom session as well. Or if you're listening to the replay, grab them and make sure that they're listening to what the doctors have to say and considering these careers and these opportunities. So I want to break tonight up into a couple of different subjects. The first subject is about people who would want to get involved in the medical profession as a career. Do you have to be good at math? Do you have to be good at biology? All of those initial questions that people usually ask. I'll open it up to anyone on the panel here. What are some of the things that you think makes a good candidate for somebody who's considering not just dentistry, which I know all of you do, but anything in the medical profession?
Well, I'll hop in because I get that question often. One of the things that sparked me into starting the organization is that, we've been busy in our practice, all of us were talking, it's like, there's so much work involved in building the practice that unbeknownst to me that I had just found out through a statistic that there had been flat growth in the number of Black dentists in dentistry. 3.8% are Black dentists in the United States, which is not reflective of our population. And so with that, when you don't have representation out there, these kids are not seeing dentists that look like them. So we just are we still November 1st, earlier this month, we had a youth summit, and a lot of the testimonials from these high school students was, I didn't know that I've never seen a group of diverse dentists, so I didn't know that you guys do that, basically, that I could do it too. And so when they're coming to me, I tell them that, yes, we want you to be strong in your sciences, but it's more so about, do you have a love for helping others? Like, do you want to make a difference in the world? And do you have that passion there first? You don't have to have a major in the sciences. To get into dental school or medical school, you have to see what the prerequisites are. How many semesters of biology and chemistry and physics. But what really makes you stand out, and what I always tell them, is if you are majoring in philosophy, and that makes you a unique candidate, and then gives you time to really focus in on your sciences so you can boost up that GPA. But not only academics, we got to tell these kids that it's important to have exposure with mentoring and shadowing with dentists to see what it's like. And when we start early, then we're giving them enough time to see if dentistry is for them or not. Our goal is not for everybody to go into dentistry. That would be great. But we're just planting the seeds of hope and possibility that they can believe something greater for themselves.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I can contribute to that. I think that you have to focus early. I mean, you have to make up in your mind, what do you want to do? And you need to do it early. I would say definitely in middle school or high school, start thinking about what you want to do, what STEM that you want to get into. You got to start thinking early. And then you need to build a foundation. That means the foundation is taking classes, maybe in high school that you didn't want to take them and learning as much as you can, because I'm gonna be honest with you now, this is about being honest and straightforward and transparent about these admission boards. Now, the American Dental Education Association is saying that the demographic that is decreasing every year in regards to applicants being successful and getting into dental school are African American kids. So that's the only demographic that they see is decreasing, because with me being president of a dental society, and we have a mentorship program, and when we mentor young Black college students, and I'm going to tell you, the Black kids that we were mentoring, they just didn't have the resources or they weren't aware of the resources that were available to them so they can go and see a Black healthcare professional. They didn't know any Black dentists that they could come to their office and shadow them and learn the stuff, at the ground roots. So they started off with this, I would say, some type of like impairment, not understanding that you all, the Black children, y'all know just as much as those white kids. You just need somebody to give you the resource. That means allow you to come to their practice, allow you to see what they're doing, and encourage you to think about this profession. I mean, one of my mentees now, she's her second year at Tufts in Boston. I met this young lady when she was 17 years old at a mom's project. And she was just in school to be a dental assistant in high school. And she came up to me. I was there getting a mom's project is a Mission of Mercy project in which people line up to get free dental care, and they line up for days. And this young lady came over to me and she talked to me and she said, "Can I help you for the day?" And I said, "Sure." So once I started talking to her and I understand she was 17, I said, "Well, come over to my practice. Come over to my practice and help me on the weekends when I open in my office." So she came and shadowed me. And I mentored that young lady and I stayed on her because she went through undergrad. And I stayed on her because she was at some job. And I said, "You need to apply to dental school." And now she's in her second year at Tufts. And we have a session that we talk maybe every few months. I can see how she's doing. But you just need somebody that is going to take an interest in you. But you got to have an interest in your own self, because she will tell you, she just thought she was going to be an assistant. Now she's in school to be the doctor. So you need to start early. You need to find people who can be your advocate and that can mentor you and allow you to come and see what they do. And you take those pearls and you use that, because it's very competitive to get into dental school. Dental school is more hard to get in than medical school right now. The only school that's harder than dental school is being a veterinarian. So all I'm saying is that you do need to try as much as you can to get the early type of foundation, and that will help you get to a certain point. And I must stress that because it is competitive, but hey, you can do it. I'm encouraging you. I'm not saying, I'm just telling you all the information that you need so you can understand how it needs to go.
Yeah, I love this story.
Can I jump on that a little bit too?
Yeah.
So it's a long journey. You're talking 4 years of undergrad, then another 4 years of dental school, and then if you specialize, it's going to be more years. So I agree with Laura. You do have to start early. That said, though, because I know you mentioned, Sharia, about people starting later in life. Yes, the oldest person in my class was 40 years old. Since then, I've met plenty of people that have done dental school in their 50s. I think the oldest I've ever seen was an article about a lady that did it. She was a dental assistant, went back when she was 65. And then going back to your earlier question, talking about in terms of grades, Laurie's right. I look at it this way: dental school that's the gatekeeper. You have to get in. You have to be competitive to get in. That said, though, once you get in, and I might be controversial in saying this, dental school is challenging, but it's not rocket science. You use the example, Sharia, of like you have to be good at math. There's only 32 teeth in the mouth. So you don't have to. Even though I was a math major, it's not rocket science. But I do think getting into school is almost a gateway, and we have to be competitive. And some of our folks are not as competitive. So I think that goes back to what Laurie's saying, and what Layla's program is trying to do. We have to connect with our youth earlier so that they can focus and get better grades so they can competitive to get in. And once they get in, we can help them, to succeed. So.
Yeah, I love it. I just wanted to say before Dr. Mack chimes in here, sometimes we aim too low. That's the story of the dental young lady who thought, oh, all I could be is a dental assistant. And it's like, no, you're 17. You have your life ahead of you. You can aim high and actually get there. So, you know, I'm encouraging people, no matter what age you are, to start thinking higher, aiming higher. The economy is leaving many of us behind. So if you're going to do anything over the next few years, I'll admit, I'm 46. I'm going to be 52 anyway. I might as well aim high and be at the top 1% of whatever I'm going to do. You're going to be whatever age you're going to be in 5 years, 7 years. You might as well aim high as well. So, Dr. Max, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, as I reflect back on growing up, first generation going to college. So, you know, I didn't have like a lot of people, I guess, didn't really have others that were to like shadow or to follow around. So I think the one important thing though, what I, as I reflect back when I was a kid, is that depending on where you are, if it's middle school, I would kind of more still look at it at the high school level, right? That's when, and it's what to Lori's point, I sought out. There wasn't any one that looked like us, right? That I could reach out to. So I was always taking initiative to do things. So I reached out to my dad. My dad is an Italian guy. He was really always treated us great. I loved him. He was great to my family. And so I felt comfortable enough to ask. You know, I was in high school. I said, "Ask, would you mind if I just come in and just, just hang around your office?" Because I didn't know anything about dentistry, but I wanted to learn. I wanted to find out, is this something I would even consider? And there's nothing wrong with that. So I think, at the end of the day, when we're talking about trying to get in school, yeah, it's very, very demanding, very competitive. But find out if you have an interest, because it really starts with a desire. Because one of the things is that at the end of the day, no matter what it is in your life that you want to pursue, you got to have a why. If your why is strong enough, it doesn't matter what obstacles you come, because you will get obstacles, and there's going to be many. And some of them will be seen to be insurmountable. But if your why is strong enough, you just go over it. You just don't even think about it. Sometimes when you look back after go over it, you're like, wow, you really can see how it was that why, that reason why you're pushing. So and so you develop it. You don't know. So sometimes when you don't know, you got to search out. So to Louis' point, and to the rest of the group too, is that look for things. And back then we didn't have Google. So, I couldn't even look up stuff on Google. There was no internet, and I was growing up like that. So, so for me, it was like, did you look through magazines and those kind of things. But now with the internet, you can really research all kind of information that, really helps, really find out what your interests are. But if it's healthcare, I really believe, and I say healthcare period, because it's like, caring for people. It's like my mantra. It's like, even when, developing, in healthcare businesses and all, it's always this, I teach the young folks too, as they were working for me. It's like, you worry about and you focus on the people, and the money will come. You never focus on the money. It just doesn't work. You focus on people, you'll enjoy it more, it's fulfilling, and then the money comes. It's just like, you don't look at it as work. That's why you people who are really passionate about what they do and they love what they do, it's because they found that core in their heart that makes it big. And then the money's just gravy. But yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's a great profession. Healthcare period is wonderful. But to the rest of the panel's point, seek out, search out, what it is that you might like. But there's nothing wrong with asking folks. They don't have to look like us. And believe me, there's people out there. In fact, I think most dentists, because there are not too many folks who will come and ask, right? And they'll find, I think they'll be very open. I don't care who you are. I mean, then they'll be like, "Oh, sure. If a young lady wants to come in my office, oh, sure, yeah, sure." And they'll just, they'll connect with one of the staff members. But we dentists, we love that stuff. And I think, and even in the other healthcare, but they wouldn't mind. It's not way. But like at the end of the day, they'd love to see that interest. People like to share what they love to do. So that's what I want to encourage people to do. Find that out early on.
Perfect. So my next two questions actually are for both Dr. Max and Dr. D'Antonio. So you're both men. And I received an email a few months ago from one of the heads of Tennessee State University, I think it was. They only had young ladies as part of their medical program, and they had no young men, to the point where they had offered a full 8-year scholarship for any young Black male that they could find to bring into Tennessee State University and have him go through Meharry Medical College, right? And we were trying to recruit some young Black men. I don't know if they ever got any, but when I sent out the email, I got responses back from a couple of moms who asked about their daughters. There seems to be this I don't know, seems to be an issue, let's just say that, with really recruiting young Black males now, based on that. I was wondering if the two of you had any additional thoughts with regards to that, being that you're both men.
I lost you part of what you were saying, so I didn't.
Oh,
really
I'm
get
sorry.
Because I think I don't know if it's happening to my connection, but it just seems like I lost you. So what was the whole question?
The whole question is, there seems to be a recruitment issue with men, with young boys these days.
Yeah.
They are, Tennessee State University and Meharry Medical College are able to recruit young ladies. However, they can't seem to recruit young men to their programs. And because you and D'Antonio are males, I was wondering if you had any additional thoughts with regards to that.
Yeah, I mean, I can start. I guess my sentiments would be that those who are in position, like especially Black males, and we have quite a few Black males that are in. I would say that if we could do things that would, as a people, we would be able to connect more and really try to reach out. One of the things that, and we all could do things in silos, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I would love for us to be able to connect more, Black males to be able to connect more, especially in the field of dentistry. I find that throughout the career, for some reason, we tend to be, siloed or cliquish or what have you, but I would love for that. One of the things that we did in our communities is we would have these events, and we'd have these summer camps. That's what did in Wilmington, Delaware, and I intentionally tried to go after the males, but by the males or females, just the youth, and just to expose them to. We have these little sessions with with the Onotipodon, with the different materials, and just really just have it, just see if they would have interest. And they're during the summertime when they were out of school. But things of that nature, of course we could do things in silos, but I would love if we can end up connecting. But everybody has their lives and doing different things, but not a whole lot of us. But it would be great to see that. I think we just need to do more of that. That's really the more exposure we get, I think the better. And it's I don't know. What do you think, Doc?
So I think I guess twofold. One, was it Black Girl Magic?
Yeah, I was thinking, and I was thinking Girls Who Code as well. It seems like the females are able to build these communities.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the push for STEM has been particularly effective among the female demographic. I think so. Because they talk about most of our dental schools. Before, it used to be predominantly men, but now it's getting closer and closer where it's almost 50-50. And I think that's probably because, one, there's more exposure now, more female applicants. But then also to Dr. Max's point, men were kind of almost solitary creatures in a sense. And I don't think we do as good a job as our female counterparts as in terms of like exposing folks to the profession. There's tons of online communities. And when I look around at several of the ones, at least the Black dental ones, they're female led, or they're predominantly, there are a couple of Black, but the guys, we kind of like, we'll post a case or something like that. but women are social creatures. Y'all are more social creatures, and you get together and y'all go beyond that. And I think that helps to build community. And I think it's something that guys, we probably just need to work better at doing. So Dr. Heishaw had an event, and it was a fantastic event, exposed a lot of young high school students, and they were younger too, right? And but there were only two male dentists. I forgot how many dentists there were total, maybe like 18 of us, but there were only two men, and I was the only Black male, and I was telling them we need to do a better job,
I think that that's important because there was a time when there was a serious lack of female representation in STEM, and now you're seeing an over-representation. I'll call it over-representation, in the current group of young people that are coming. And I look at things kind of as a futurist as well. I look at, who are these young girls going to marry, right? Who are they going to have kids with? Are there going to be comparable men out there for them? And, for the generation that comes after them, they need to see men in these positions as well. So I don't have the answers, but I think it is, we're going to have a generation of young men left behind if something doesn't happen. Like, I feel like now Generation Z needs to be caught in some sort of way and caught up with. Like, we're I don't want to say we're failing them. I don't know if that's it, but I think that there's like this huge crater that's coming, and if we're not careful, then we're going to be so lopsided that it's going to be hard for us to come back. Go ahead, Dr. Lori.
Yeah, well, you know what? I did want to speak about the Meharry initiative, Black Male Initiative. Meharry has been doing that for a couple of years now, and I can tell you more about that program. And what they try to do is sort of a pipeline to prison. They're doing a pipeline to medical school, and they are targeting Black males in the community. Or if you know anybody, they've been very successful because they have been getting some Black males to actually, matriculate at Meharry. I know when I went to Meharry, I think we were the first class that had the most women, and this was in the 1990s. So we were one of the first class had the most women, but the Dental Society that I'm president of, which Dr. Worrell is part of, is mostly men. I mean, I think most of the, it's mostly men that are part of the Dental Society. So there are a lot of Black male dentists, but we do see in the junior and senior classes right now, I mean, throughout the nation, the Black male dentist is disappearing. That's why we're so concerned about it. But I know Meharry is trying to make sure we have that Black male initiative. And I know that we've been trying to encouraging Black males. So there's a lot of things. So we have to be innovative about it. There's a lot of things that we need to do to engage our Black male children, to keep them interested and propose something to them that will be interesting to them to consider the profession. So that's what we need. We need to be innovative about how we encounter them, how we inspire them, and how we tell them, mostly Black males, they're interested in anything that they can work with their hands with. And dentistry is definitely something that you have to work with your hands. And so there's a way to engage that young man and make him understand that this may be a profession that you may consider. So I say, Meharry, I have to take off my hat to them because they are really trying to push that to make sure that we keep seeing the Black male dentists. Because, right now I can tell you, there's about 7,000 Black dentists throughout this country, about 7,000, roughly 7,000. So most of them are Black males, because there is a percentage of the Black females that's still not as much as the Black males. So we don't want that to disappear, because we want the black men to be in this profession. And I'm a big advocate for the Black male to give them the resources so they can be in these dental schools too. And we are seeing across the board, It's not a Meharry like a UAB and all these other schools that the Black male student is disappearing, but we need to do something about it now to make sure we see them in those classes.
I agree.
I love what you said, Dr. Lori, about when you said pipeline. I think you said pipeline, right? I love that, because that is so true, and I think that's what we all believe in our heart, right? That's need a pipeline, right? Because we all had to to go through the journey, right, on the way to get there, and I think that the problem that most of our community faces is that when we, quote unquote, whether it be healthcare or anything else, when they made it and they could actually get to a certain level, like you can't forget. I'll never forget when the day I graduated dental school, this young lady came up to me. She had her son, and I'll never forget, it was coming. I was actually coming out, and I saw the recruiter sitting over there. She was like, I had to go and raise my hand, go in, but on my way to walk over there, lady come over to me and she says, "This is Dr. Maxwell." And that's the first time I heard anybody call me doctor, because I just, coming out of the auditorium. And she says, "Listen," she goes, "Congratulations." And then she looked back at her son and said, Don't forget about them. Don't forget about them. I mean, I didn't know her, but she was just said, it always stuck with me forever. I still remember it. But and then she was gone, and she was just like, she disappeared. But I just felt like, that's one of the things, is that we never want to forget that, on this journey, there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. You gotta remember, like always, there's a lot of folks that you can help, and you can actually inspire, you can do that. So we always keep that in the forefront. And having said that, I love what you also said about how our female counterparts do such a great job. And they do. It's like our men, it bothers me too much, and I'm sure Seth too. He probably feels the same way, because it's like, we know that, come on, we can do better. We really can. But you know what I would say? I would say this. I said, we need help on the female side to help us, because let me tell you, I feel like sometimes men respond to the females better than they respond to the men. And it's weird, but that's what it is. In other words, if you were to invite the men to, they would be like, yeah, okay. But if you have guys inviting other guys, they just, for some reason, don't ask me why, you just act weird that way. But if you had something, if you created something, or you said, just invite the men to it. Now, don't just have it just be just for females, because then we feel kind of like, all right, well, we can't go. Or we probably really want to go, but you don't want to, you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to go. You just kind of feel like, all right, well, I'll just sit back and watch, or I'll go and look, and on the internet or whatever. But I think that it would really help if we could be more innovative, like you said, and be more open to other pipelines that could be available, so that way we can, make headway of things. So I think there's a big opportunity for us to just spark more interest for young Black men.
So I want to get to this last topic with our last 10 minutes, and that is patient advocacy. There was a study that said that Black Americans are consistently undertreated for pain relative to white patients. And in fact, one study revealed that half of the medical students and residents held one or more false beliefs about supposed biological differences between Black and white patients, thinking that Black patients had a higher tolerance for pain than others. Now, I'm not sure what year this study was. This specific article didn't say this, but even my own issue at the hospital proved that out a few years ago, that they think, we're treated differently, we have different biology, things like that. I wanted to spend the rest of the time today just talking a little bit from a doctor's perspective about patient advocacy, some of the things that are dental adjacent or medical adjacent that we could be doing to increase that representation within the medical profession as well. I'm thinking things like researchers and, things like that can also help our people with regards to being represented. Anyone can can unmute
Man,
yourself.
why you got all my triggers tonight?
I'm sorry.
I was just talking about this with one of my best friends. She's an ER physician. And let me tell you something. You as a patient, you got to have somebody to advocate for you. Because if you don't, I can just tell you right now, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. You got to have somebody who's going to be able to advocate for your health care. And you're going to have somebody to be able to talk with you and talk with your physician or dentist about how this is going to go. Okay. I know how it is for me when I practice. I had a patient come in to me to see me, and he didn't know what drug he was taking. He didn't know what it was for. He didn't understand the physician. He didn't hardly know their name. He didn't know anything about what's going on with his health care. He had a heart attack. I took a Panorex x-ray and I saw 2 punched out lesions, and it was a concern for me. And then when I tried to go, look at the records and there's not some, the electronic records, there was no continuity of care. He'd been to like 7 or 8 doctors, not knowing what was going on. And I was like, oh my God, I hope that this patient, when I saw the punched out lesions, it made me think of sarcoma. So I was able to get on the phone and talk with the oral surgeon so I can get him right away. And then I had his mother come in. His mother knew more about his health care than what he did. So what I'm saying, and these are Black patients now, and they go to all these doctors and no one takes the time to sit down and tell them about their health care. Listen, you're going to have somebody that's going to be an advocate for you if you can't advocate for yourself. If a physician gives you a type of medication and you're not aware of what it's for, you need to be asking those questions. You need to ask. You don't need to have come to me as your dentist and try to figure out what's wrong with you. You need to be able to answer these questions. And I'm telling you, a lot of these patients that I'm seeing, they don't know why they went to see that doctor. And the doctor don't care either. Because you know what? They're a different color. They don't care about what's going on with you. And me as your doctor, I'm going to make sure that I treat you effectively. So I need to have all that information. So I was able to get his mother to do find out the different things I need to do so I can put the puzzle together. But just think about it. Like I said, my friend who's an ER physician, a lot of physicians right now don't have time to, especially if they're family medicine, they got 15, 20 minutes to see you. And they're on to the next person. You need to be opening your mouth and asking asking your physician, what is this medication for? And why do I need to take it? There's nothing wrong with you asking those questions. And the study that you were talking about was from University of Virginia, because because we knew when it all came out, and it's the truth, is because for some reason, people think they've been trained like that in medical school to think that Black people can endure pain. So they're not going to give you all the pain medication that they would give your white counterpart. So you need to have somebody that's going to be asking that question for you and trying to figure out what's going on, not being afraid to talk to the doctor. How can I get up from the chair, go back into my office, and I've told you everything, and then you ask my assistant, what did she just say? You need to be able to talk to your doctor. And if their doctor will not spend enough time to answer all your questions, then you need to be finding somebody else. Because like I said, I see so much crazy stuff with these patients coming in with all this medication, and they can't even tell me what it's for. Yeah. So that's one of my triggers, because I see it every day. And I just want to tell, you as a patient, you need to be able to speak up for yourself and figure out what's going on with you and what is the best treatment plan for you.
Yeah, because at one time we thought, if we just had enough money, that would help. And then Serena Williams had a problem when she was giving birth to her child, and they didn't believe that she was in pain. So, and she's and then obviously she's not a gazillionaire, but she might as well be, right, in comparison to the rest of us. So it's more than just having enough money. This is where medical representation comes as well. I'm going to open it up to the other doctors, Dr. Layla, D'Antonio, Dr. Max. What do you all think?
No, I mean, definitely when we talk about that, then I also want to hope that we can touch on access to care and equity in
Mhm.
healthcare. But
Mhm.
as a pediatric dentist, I see it too when there's a parent bringing in their child for a second opinion. They saw another dentist and the kid has decay. You know, dental caries dental decay is one of the most chronic diseases, even over childhood asthma in children. So about 50% of kids will have decay by the age of 10. So that number doubles for Black patients. Now they're coming and saying that this other dentist is wanting to take out all these teeth and not giving them all the different treatment options. And so we are living with all these biases. I mean, it is alive and well in medicine and dentistry and healthcare professions. And so they're just assuming maybe one, they're not going to be able to afford to save that tooth through canal and crown, as Dr. Worrell can speak to. I'm sure a lot of like, just take the tooth out. There's no need to spend that money, invest that money to save the tooth. As when we're talking about paying for kids, you know, when they have full mouth restorations that need to be done, like just 18 out of their 20 teeth have decay on it, you know, it's traumatic to try to do that without doing some level of anesthesia, some sedation. But yeah, they're holding these kids down, wrapping them up in a papoose and just getting it done. It's like it's fine. It's safer than putting them under anesthesia, and that's not the case. You know, yes, there's risks that we need to go through the medical history, but I've seen it one too many times in my 20 plus years as a pediatric dentist. And then sadly, I mean, we have to touch on Diamante Driver. He's a 12-year-old Black young man who died from a tooth abscess. And it was because the mom just could not find a Medicaid provider to treat him. And it's a simple treatment that would have been less than, I don't know what, $100. You know, he lost his life. And so this is why we do need to increase the number of Black dentists so that patients are more comfortable to follow up and get care and see them. And I'm one to say too that, you know, it's not that we're just only going to see the kids and families on Medicaid. We need representation in every part, you know, not all, you know, I had a situation when someone tried to pull that on me and say, but aren't you in the suburbs? How are you treating your community? I was like, you cannot question my dedication in my community and how I'm going to serve my community. And we need to be everywhere because not all Black people are poor and destitute. So this is why we need to increase, but I'll get off my horse on that one. But yeah, definitely there's biases. And so like Dr. Lori was saying, you have to be an advocate for yourself. You know your options, just ask. What are some other options that we can do besides what you're proposing?
D'Antonio, your thoughts on that?
I dropped my mic after Layla's comments. Yeah, same thing as everybody's been saying. You know, the individual is the best advocate initially. You know, we have to be our own best advocates. Outside of that, you know, this is the internet age. Now, you know, except for like maybe the elderly that aren't tech savvy or anything like that, then hey, have your younger, you know, your daughter or son or cousin, you know, nephew, niece, do some research online. Here's the thing, though. I will admit, from the doctor side, we have a love-hate relationship with internet doctors. We do, yeah, because we come. Well, Google said this. Yes, but you know what? I'll go ahead and say this. I think any doctor, any good doctor, dentist, physician, worth their salt, if you come in truly well informed, you know, it's a plus for us, you know. And so do your internet research, try to learn as much about your issue before you come in, your condition before you come in. And then, you know, but just don't be, you know, understand we did go to school for years and years, but no, it's a plus for us, you know. And so I think everybody needs to take that to heart and do their own research as much as they can before they come in, regardless of what condition or situation they have.
Dr. Max?
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, everyone, I echo, you know, the same sentiment. I mean, a well-informed patient is the best patient, right? I mean, from a patient perspective, you know, you want to be empowered, and many times we'll suffer in silence because we, you know, either you have mixed feelings, well, I don't want to say anything, or you feel like, oh, I don't want to question the doctor, or if you do, I don't want to get into confrontation. But at the end of the day, it's required, right? You have your responsibility to your own health and well-being as well. Participate, right, with your care. You know, I went through that with my mom, being a practitioner myself, and then having to. I'm not going to just sit there and be passive and like, oh, I'm going to ask you questions. I'm already do my research. We're going in. We're talking about different treatment options. You know, we're talking about ovarian cancer, all these different things that she's going through. Yeah, you have to, and it's not like, hey, I'm going to challenge the doctor. It's not about that. It's like, I really want to participate. And it's like Dr. D is saying, it's like, if the doctor is not going to be full of themselves and not going to be offended by it, and they're good, that's a good doctor. They're going to be willing to say, oh yeah, and welcome the questions and be, take the time. They say, I think the average in the physician side, like how much time you actually spend with a patient is like, what, 11 minutes or something like that? Not very much a lot of time because there's so many patients. It's really the healthcare system is overwhelmed by, just don't have enough, providers really, right? So I think, in the hustle bustle, they may not have to spend the time that they probably want to. And that's why I think there's going to be more patient advocate type of treatments, like or systems, like health coaches, et cetera, that extension of your visit. So that way you can have an opportunity. And that's what I'm hoping, that it would be more of that, which, with now telehealth and all, there'll be more access to be able to communicate and have your questions answered if there's any issues. But getting to the point where Dr. Lay was saying about pain management, so important, and having treated children for many years as well. It's from a patient, especially when you're dealing with your most precious possessions, your children, right? When parents are. And I was always one that just had, like, I wouldn't have a problem with having a parent in the room at the same time. Some docs, say no, parents can stay out, kids stay in, and all that. But I welcome that, because I think that's really important. That communication, just to reiterate what the panel was talking about, communication is huge. And so I think that also allows you to experience, what's going on, and that will help, and nurture the whole relationship. Because if you don't trust your doctor, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to really progressing within your health and well-being and participate really effectively, because it's going to be this tension, right? So you don't want that. So how you grow, how it has to grow, and that can go both sides, doctor side and the patient side. There needs to be a mutual respect there. And it has to go both ways. It's not like, oh, because I'm the doctor, you got to respect me. No, you got to respect, you got to have a mutual respect. And that comes with good communication, and the trust factor goes up. So, and that, there's a lot of things come out of that too, in that relationship, so it's important. So.
Absolutely. So everybody, this is the end of our session. I want to thank Beulah for talking about writing her notes. So I write mine as well on my cell phone in the note taking. I usually don't like to ask questions until it's very rare that a doctor needs to prescribe medicine for me. I'm just fortunate that way. But when I do, I always ask them to spell it for me. I always look it up on my internet while I'm in the doctor's office, so that I can make sure that I have it spelled properly. I'm like, is this it? And they say yes. And then I'll go home and read it. And then if I have follow-up questions, that's how I work. But there are also, Beulah saying, nurse advocates. I've heard of them as well. And I talked to a woman who was thinking of starting something like that, where that person, she's specifically going to do it for elderly people, where if your parent lived in a different state or something like that, you could hire her service to go take all the notes during the doctor's appointments. And then that person would relay that information to you as the child, if you lived in a different state or something like that. I think that these are all careers that we, in businesses, that we may want to consider having. And not all Black people are poor, like Dr. Layla was saying, so there are people who would be willing to pay the hourly rate for that person to go, because their parent is just as important to them as their children. So with that, I want to thank you, doctor, so much. I know we had Q&A in here from Charles. Thank you for your information in here. Thank you to everybody for your information in the chat. Thank you to everybody in YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, all the likes and things like that. And most importantly, thanks to my doctors tonight. I hope that you all will come back again and see us, and we can have more discussions, especially about the advocacy piece of it, and just training people a little bit more on how to be advocates for themselves and their family members.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
Sheree,
sir.
can I add
Yes,
one
sir.
point?
1 point. Yes,
Sure.
sir.
Yes, I know you got to go. But just to wrap it all up, because I know the whole focus of 10K is to focus on generational wealth, right?
Yes,
And building
yes.
in the Black community. So people should know, and I don't know if they do know, though, dental practices are probably one of the most successful small businesses you can have. You know, banks line up to give loans, small business loans to dentists to find practices.
That's
And
true.
not saying that, and most of us don't do it for the money, but it is, you know, it is a way to help advance, I guess, accumulating generational wealth. Okay, and I think that and we don't have a lot of Black practitioners, and you know, so people should really start exposing them. Consider exposing their kids to this. And Dr. Highshaw's program, Diversity in Dentistry Medicine Mentorships, is a great avenue to do that online, and she'll link you up with mentors all across the country to do that.
And how did Dr. Hishaw, how do we get to your
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Well, our website is diversityindentistry.org. And I would invite you to join the Facebook group. That's where you can ask the questions. We pair up through our website, but just to share the resources. What summer programs should your middle school or high school student be doing? Our pre-dental students who are already on the right track, but getting them set up with shadowing, because cold calling when you don't know anyone is hard. But when you have a mentor there, champion for you, you can succeed in anything you want.
And if you're in the DMV area, Dr. Lori, ODDS is incredible. Lining people up as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
You know what? Before we end,
yes,
did you answer the question? The question and answer I saw up there about the osteopathic. Did we answer that question?
He didn't have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a question. It was about. It was a comment. It was a comment about residency in the future. Yeah.
Doc, do you have any information that you can give him about the person about that?
Okay, well, I guess I can read it really quickly. So Charles in the Q&A is saying, I'm totally on board with the topic being discussed this evening. I'm a veteran and an osteopathic medical school graduate, 2019. Currently, I have been unable to obtain a residency due to the numerous board attempts. I agree we should mentor kids on getting into professional schools, but we should also continue to provide support throughout the 4 years of medical or dental school. This will ensure that the future is on track and focus. This will definitely help promote more Black medical professionals and help drive opening Black-owned healthcare facilities. So that's what Charles said in the Q&A.
And if I could tell Charles, if you go to Elevate Med, MED, elevatemed.org, it's a Scottsdale-based nonprofit that they pay out $50,000 scholarships to you have to be a second, third year medical student and new grads. So that might be an outlet. There's programs out there. But yeah, that is something I would highly recommend, because you're right. We can get them motivated and apply to school, but getting through school and then starting a practice, you still need mentorships at every career of every stage of your career.
And I really suggest, I know we got to go, but I really suggest if you're having problems with that board exam, you're really going to have somebody to help you with that flex. I think, so there are programs out there that you can apply. I'm sure you know by now that you can apply to help you with that board review, because we need you to be able to get that to pass your board so you can go ahead and go through the match again and get a residency. You cannot give up. If you've been through those 4 years of medical school, you cannot give up just because this is a problem right now. You got to keep on the grind, and you got to find a way to get you in there. I wish that we could have some resource to give you to talk to somebody that can help you with that. You know, two of my best friends are physicians, but they're MDs, they're not DOs. But I'm going to ask them, maybe we can get some information. I'm going to ask them, what can you do to help you with making sure that you get a residency? Because right now, that's what you need to be at. And we need to see, all of us in here, we need to pull our resources together and figure out what we can give to you so you can go ahead and get hooked up. And sometimes it's who you know. So who you can get hooked up with so we can help you get past that board examination, because there's no way you should go 4 years and you finish and not pass that board and get that residency. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Maybe we can get the email address, figure out what's going on, and put them in contact with the right people.
If you email me, Charles, info@the10kproject.com, I will connect you with Dr. Highshaw and Dr. Lori. And if the other doctors want me to give you their emails, I will do that as well. Also, Angela Dotson is saying the dental hygiene board got her as well, and she has a sad face on it. So Angela, email me, info@the10kproject.com. I'm going to connect you with the doctors here as well. We got to figure it out. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Olawasun, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly, is asking if there is a directory of Black dentists.
I was going to share the blackdentalpractices.com. Black
Say that
owned.
one more time.
Let me look it up. It's like black owned dentalpractice.com, but I'll send it to you, then maybe you can send that out.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a website called blackdoctors.org. I'm on there. Mm-hmm. And if you go ahead and check that out, and then what you do is you put in your city that you're in, and then you can click on the listserv, and it will tell you when the city, because I don't know what city you're in. But I know our website, Old Dominion Dental Society website, if you're in Virginia, you can click on our website and find every dentist, every specialist you can think of at our website, and they tell you the practice name and everything. So there is a way to find somebody who looks like you to give you some health care. So blackdoctors.org, I'm on there myself, and it's people throughout the country that's on there. You just need to put in where you live.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Okay. Everybody, info@the10kproject.com. Email me and I'll connect you with the doctors. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.